We have finally reached the conclusion of the Godzilla vs. Cthulhu miniseries, with this time it being Godzilla vs. Yog Sothoth, as I teased in my last video. Now, I know the title still says Godzilla vs. Cthulhu, even though it's Godzilla vs. Yog Sothoth, but it's still technically the series, and also technically, as you'll find out later, it does still technically involve Cthulhu. But with that being said, let's find out who will be the true victor between Godzilla, the king of the monsters, or Yog Sothoth. Now, we've already gone over Godzilla's scaling in the last video and why he beats Cthulhu. So this time, I decided we're going to take the strongest character of the Lovecraft verse, aka Yog Sothoth, and see if he can do any better than Cthulhu can. Now, you might be asking, but isn't Azathoth the strongest in the verse because he dreams reality? No, he doesn't. First of all, Azathoth doesn't dream up reality. There is not a single book that ever states that. You will never find a single scan stating it. Wherever you hear it, it's complete bullshit. There's not a single scan stating he ever dreams of reality or anything. All we know is that he's a god of the void and that he's extremely powerful, but I'm not going to be going over him since that's not relevant to here. But with that being said, all the scans that we'll be presenting for Yog Sothoth is going to be from Literary Who's video on Yog Sothoth. So for more information, go to his video. You can check out all this stuff on the Lovecraftian gods. But with that being said, let's go over the couple things that Yog Sothoth has. So for starters, in Lovecraft, everything is a part of Yog Sothoth. Every god of the void, every planet, every universe, every single gate, every single thing that exists within the Lovecraft universe is a part of Yog Sothoth. Yog Sothoth is also stated to be the all-in-one, and is stated to be superior to the gods of the void. And now what the all-in-one means, as you could probably infer from the previous scans, everything is a part of Yog Sothoth and is in him. He is everything. Not to mention, other scans also state that the gate, past, present, and future are all one within Yog Sothoth. We also know the fact that Yog Sothoth is stated to be omnipotent in the verse. And what's pretty funny about this is that omnipotent is only used once out of every single story written for Lovecraft. It's only used once, and that's for Yog Sothoth. So I would say that is pretty good scaling. It's kind of short because there's not much Yog Sothoth really does, but this is kind of the main information that we really get for Yog Sothoth and kind of all we need. Everything else that we'd go over would just be hacks, but I don't really think we need to go over that since he would have every hacks of every other character in the verse. So whatever hacks you give Azathoth, Cthulhu, or anyone like them, Yog Sothoth has. So I don't really think it's I don't think it's really necessary to go over them. However, here's what I will say. I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, if Yog Sothoth is clearly everything in the verse and you said he'd be omnipotent, he's clearly going to win because he's omnipotent. But I think a lot of people seem to misunderstand how omnipotent is used. I think people need to understand how inverse can be applied to cross-verse. If you're omnipotent in one verse, you're not omnipotent in the next verse. That's just not how that works. That's called cross-verse. Inverse is something like, if you're stated to be omnipotent inside of this specific verse, then you're omnipotent inside of that verse. It's pretty simple. I don't understand how people manage to get it incorrect. If they see a character that says omnipotent, they automatically assume that they sold a fiction because they're omnipotent. So it clearly means that they're unstoppable in every single fictional verse, which doesn't work that way. Now another thing is, Yog Sothoth also exists a part of Dungeons and Dragons, just like Cthulhu does. And I've already gone over Dungeons and Dragons scaling in both the first part and the second part for Cthulhu and Godzilla's on certain videos. So I'm not going to go over it here. But for those who have watched it, you would know that it scales pretty high into High Outer. But I think we need to go back to the question. Can Yog Sothoth beat or even kill Godzilla? And my answer would still be no. Now before a lot of you start throwing tomatoes at the screen and start going in the comments, typing in all caps, but Yog Sothoth and Azathoth would solo because they're boundless for this and this reason. Well, at least let me give my reasons. It's pretty simple on why I think Godzilla wins. Since, we know Cthulhu's in Dungeons & Dragons, Godzilla upscales everything in Dungeons & Dragons. But wait a minute, guess who I just said exists in Dungeons & Dragons? Oh, that's right, Yog Sothoth exists in Dungeons & Dragons. So, off of that, Godzilla kinda already stomps out Yog Sothoth, because he's just a greater god who Ao is above, then Luminous Being is above, and then Godzilla is above them. So it's a pretty one-sided stomp. But even if we don't go with that argument, what else can Godzilla really do? Well, we know Godzilla has a lot of insane hacks, like his true form being pure energy, so you probably can't even kill him, just because energy really cannot be destroyed. There's also the fact that he can go outside of his verse, or anyone's verse at any given moment, to beat up the writers, or whoever he wants, if he feels like it. Like, he literally, like, I don't know how to say it. Heisei Godzilla transcended his own verse, went outside of fiction to beat up his writers for trying to reveal a weakness he has, and said, fuck you, beat them up. So why can't he just do the same thing with Yog Sothoth? Simply just transcend him or go outside of the verse and beat up the writers who made him or something like that. Like, Godzilla just has a lot of busted hacks. And also, going back to the whole omnipotent thing, if we really want to use omnipotent, we could just rat it and say GIS is omnipotent too, man. Like, it's say that victory cannot be taken from him. Like, that's kind of omnipotent for me, if you were to ask me. Like, if you can't beat anyone in a fight, like you're directly stated to never be able to lose, that kind of sounds like omnipotent, doesn't it? So then they'd both just stalemate for being both omnipotent. But also, like I covered in my last video, Godzilla just has a lot more busted hacks that he would just resist from Yog Sothoth. Like, almost all of his hacks that he would have from Dungeons and Dragons, Godzilla would just resist and then stomp him with one single hit. Like, that's how broken Godzilla is. I don't think people really understand just how powerful he is, because of all the downplayers that like to downplay him. But with that being said, I know that this video is a little bit shorter than the last ones, but that's kind of just because there's not a whole lot we really need to go for Yog Sothoth. Like, it's pretty straightforward. He's everything in the verse, so he has everything in the verse, and he is the strongest of the verse. Like, there's not really much else you need to say for him. But like always, for anyone who disagrees, you can go down in the comments and, you know, of course, not be a dickhead and tell me why this character wins. But if you want to be like one of those Azathoth people, be like, oh, well, Azathoth dreams reality, so he solos everybody. Azathoth exists in D&D, and Godzilla upscales. Cry about it. But that's all I have to say, and I will see you guys in the next video.